The costliest mistakes in cycling history. Professional cyclists are held to the highest standards of excellence. They're the fastest, the smartest, and the most composed riders on earth, true masters of speed, endurance, and control. But even the best athletes are still human. One small mistake, one split second of misjudgment, can erase years of preparation. No one, not even the greatest, is immune to error. Oh, that was pretty bad. There's one lap left, my friend. In this video, we'll explore some of the most costly, heartbreaking, and unforgettable mistakes in cycling history. Moments that changed races, careers, and sometimes the entire sport. And it all begins with Steven Kruijswijk's infamous crash at the 2016 Giro d'Italia. Steven Kruijswijk entered the 2016 Giro as an underdog. The quiet Dutch climber had never won a major title, and his best Grand Tour result was a modest 7th place. Few fans and even fewer commentators saw him as a serious contender for victory. The spotlight was instead fixed on Italy's Vincenzo Nibali, the Shark of Messina, a national hero and former champion of both the Giro and the Tour de France. With his home crowd behind him, Nibali was expected to dominate. But cycling is unpredictable. As the race unfolded across 3 grueling weeks of mountains, valleys, and weather shifts, something remarkable began to happen. Kruijswijk didn't just survive the climbs, he thrived on them. Calm, focused, and consistent, he rode with the composure of a veteran. By the 3rd week, he had shocked the cycling world by taking the Maglia Rosa, the pink leader's jersey. Meanwhile, Nibali's race was falling apart. Mechanical problems, poor form, and mounting frustration plagued his every stage. By stage 18, Kruijswijk had built a commanding 3-minute lead over Colombia's Esteban Chavez, with Nibali nearly 5 minutes behind, effectively out of contention. With only a few mountain stages left, Kruijswijk's victory looked inevitable. All he had to do was stay upright. Inside the Astana team bus, however, plans were being made. Nibali's crew knew they had one final chance. 2 brutal mountain stages remained, including the legendary Colle dell'Agnello, the highest point of the race at over 2,700 meters. Stage 19 would begin in Italy, cross into France, and finish on another punishing ascent. It was a stage designed for drama and disaster. The tempo was fierce from the start. Early breakaways went clear, including Nibali's loyal teammate Michele Scarponi, a rider known for his courage and tactical brilliance. Scarponi would become the architect of Nibali's comeback. As the peloton hit the lower slopes of the Agnello, Kruijswijk's teammates began to fade. One by one they dropped away, leaving the strongest climbers to battle at the front. Chavez attacked repeatedly, testing Kruijswijk's limits, but the Dutchman responded with quiet confidence every time. Behind them, Alejandro Valverde was cracking, and Nibali saw his moment. He surged forward, clawing back lost time and positioning himself for one last assault on the overall standings. In a Grand Tour, every rider faces at least one bad day, but Kruijswijk hadn't had his yet. As he zipped up his jacket and began the descent, he looked calm, ready to follow Nibali, one of the sport's best downhill specialists. Then came the moment that changed everything. Kruijswijk misjudged a sharp left turn, carried too much speed, and drifted wide. His front wheel hit a snowbank, and he catapulted over his handlebars into a pile of snow, a horrifying sight broadcast around the world. He stood up in disbelief, his pink jersey torn and covered in white powder. His bike was wrecked, twisted handlebars, broken frame. The snow had cushioned his fall, but his Giro was slipping away. By the time he got a replacement bike, the damage was done. His rivals were long gone, descending at full speed. Riding alone, battered and in pain from a broken rib, he tried to limit his losses, but the gap only grew. Nibali and Chavez cooperated perfectly, while Kreiswyk had no teammates in sight. His 3-minute advantage vanished. By the finish line, he had fallen over 2 minutes behind. The next day, Nibali smelled blood. With just 9 kilometers to go on stage 20, he launched a devastating attack. Chavez couldn't hold his wheel. The Italian stormed ahead alone, reversing the entire race in one astonishing comeback. He crossed the line in tears, redemption and disbelief mixing in one emotional moment. The Shark was back on top. For Kreiswyk, it was heartbreak. He rolled in almost 5 minutes later, his dream shattered. A race that had seemed destined for glory had turned into a painful lesson in how quickly fortune can vanish on a mountain road. He finished 4th overall, a cruel result after leading for so long. The crash remains one of the most famous what-ifs in cycling history. The lesson was clear. In cycling, the line between triumph and tragedy is razor thin. But not every downfall comes from a crash. Some come from confusion, bad luck, or premature celebration. 5 years later, another Dutch star faced his own disaster, Mathieu van der Poel. Already a legend in cyclocross, mountain biking, and road racing, Van der Poel was one of the most gifted riders of his generation, explosive, fearless, and versatile. By 2021, he had already claimed 4 cyclocross world titles and dozens of road victories. But one dream remained: Olympic gold. Since cyclocross wasn't part of the Olympics, Van der Poel targeted the mountain bike race at the Tokyo Games, a new challenge he had trained 3 years for. The Olympic course was brutal. 4 kilometers of rocks, steep climbs, and technical descents, including a treacherous feature called the Sakura Drop, a steep wooden ramp that riders had practiced with during training. 9 minutes into the race, disaster struck. Van der Poel approached the drop expecting the ramp to still be there, but it had been removed for the competition. His front wheel hit empty air and he was catapulted over the handlebars, slamming into the rocks below. The crowd gasped. The gold medal favorite lay motionless, stunned and in pain. He eventually got up and continued riding, but the damage was done. He withdrew before the final lap, his Olympic dream shattered by a simple misunderstanding. Later, the truth came out. Van der Poel had never realized the ramp would be gone. His team had mentioned it, but somewhere between training and race day, communication had broken down. Though his injuries weren't severe, lingering back pain would haunt him for months. He ended his cyclocross season early to recover. By 2022, he had made a stunning comeback, winning the Tour of Flanders and re-establishing himself as one of cycling's true greats. His Olympic failure became another reminder that in this sport, preparation means nothing without precision. But mistakes aren't always physical. Sometimes they're mental. Moments of pure overconfidence. Julien Alaphilippe learned this the hard way. In his first race wearing the rainbow stripes of world champion, he led the final sprint at Liège-Bastogne-Liège. With 3 riders behind, he swerved to block them, almost causing a crash, then threw his hands in the air, too early. From the corner of his eye, he saw Primož Roglič surge past the line first. The celebration turned to disbelief. Roglič had stolen the victory by centimeters. Afterward, Alaphilippe admitted his mistake, but just 3 days later, he almost repeated it, celebrating early again and barely holding off Van der Poel. He wasn't the first, nor would he be the last. In 2004, German sprinter Eric Zabel celebrated victory at Milan-San Remo too soon. Arms raised, smile wide, as Spanish Oscar Freire lunged his bike forward to steal the win by a few centimeters. And in 2014, Spanish rider Eloy Teruel thought he'd won a stage at the Tour of California. He slowed down, waved to the crowd, only to realize too late that there was still one full lap remaining. The peloton flew past, and Teruel finished 56th. But perhaps the most comical and painful example came at the 2022 Tour of Greece. Eduard Prades sprinted toward what he thought was a stage victory, threw his arms up, and in that exact moment, his saddle snapped off. Without hands on the bars, he fell backward onto the road. Luckily, he wasn't badly hurt, but the humiliation worsened when he discovered that Aaron Gate had already finished a full minute earlier. Prades hadn't even been racing for the win. Final thoughts. Cycling is beautiful, unpredictable, and cruel. It rewards perfection, but punishes the smallest errors. A wrong turn, a missing ramp, a premature celebration, that's all it takes to turn glory into heartbreak. And that's why we love it, because in cycling, victory isn't just about speed, it's about survival.